A man wins 14 million US dollars, and 10 years later, he's worse than he was before. He's still in debt and he never finished school. A football player earns up to £7 million throughout his career, yet he ends up perching with a friend and in serious debt, washing his clothes with his hands, sleeping on the floor. Now, it's not about recklessness or people who don't have anything or didn't study or didn't go to school, as some of you will say. 7 out of 10 people who come in contact with a windfall of cash or with a lot of money at one go never seem to get out of the poverty mentality, as they always say. So today I want to ask a question. If the money landed on your lap tomorrow, if, let's say 100 million lands on your lap tomorrow, after 5 years, where will you be? What will you be after 5 years? So, is it going to reveal a person which was ready, or will it reveal a spending machine? In other words, now, I'm going to look at some few examples. I am not a financial advisor. I just a normal Joe like you. And during one of my shower sessions, came. I thought about these guys I read earlier in some newsletter some years ago about how they spent money won from the lottery. I gathered a few who blew up the whole thing in a matter of years. And then I looked at others who made a life out of it, who got a life out of it. The first guy I saw was Batsirai Mopfawi. He was a chauffeur, Zimbabwean chauffeur in South Africa. One 5 rand lotto ticket changed his life forever, or so he thought. So he had won 14 million rand from the lotto, which is approximately $2.1 million. Now, he had a very simple plan. He's finished his metric, he will finish school, then he will secure his family. Now, if you go and look at him after 10 years, he has nothing left to his name. He didn't finish school, and his family is where they were before. But there's no money, and he's in debt as well. What happened in between is what happens to 70% to me and you. He started a transport business thinking that he was going to get a lot of money from it. He we sometimes think that we are business savvy, we know what we are doing. We know if we get this money we're going to put it in this business. But until you try it, I really doubt if you will be able to make it. Secondly, he didn't study the market as well. He was just throwing money at the business, thinking the more money you throw in, it's going to work. So, funny enough, family and old friends, old acquaintances kept on coming and asking for money. Of course, when you're successful, everybody wants a piece of you. So, before you knew it, all the money was gone and he was left alone. Now, this is not a problem uh, drilled down only to South Africans or Zimbabweans, but it's a human problem. It's for everybody. Now, this is a pattern which we will see, I think, a few more times with the other examples I would give. Now, we have the second person, Jack Whittaker. This guy is one of the biggest I've read so far. He won 314.9 million US dollars in the Powerball Lotto. At the time, this was the largest jackpot ever handed to a single winner. And what happened? Within 5 years, it was all gone. 5 years, it was all gone. Now let's get clear here. He didn't actually take $314.9 million home. He took about 113 million point 3 after tax. The American tax is crazy, but still, that's still 100 million is still a lot of money. Huge sum of money. He he walked away with 113.3 million after the taxes, and this guy was a very religious guy, and he was true to his promise. He had made a promise to the church that he will give 10% of his earnings to the church, and he will build churches and help the poor. Now he gave 10% of his winnings to three pastors. So he gave around 50 million to people in need and roughly 15 million to build two new churches in his community. He also put his granddaughter Brandy on his payroll and started the Jack Whittaker Foundation to handle flood of requests for help, giving away houses, cars, and cash. Now, this is another pattern which we saw with the Zimbabwean guy. When you are successful, people will always come to you. People will always flood asking for help, asking for whatsoever. And he was there to help. He didn't refuse. He gave away houses, cars, and cash. But he also, now, this is good. He was good, he was religious, and he did good for people, which we are not denying the fact. But the problem is he spent recklessly and publicly. Now, there are reports that he spent about fifty $50,000 in a strip club and separately in another bar at one go. And all this expenditure always opens you and your family up for theft and aggravated assault and so on. So he got assaulted many times and stolen from so many times. Now, he the churches are one of his biggest spending and one of the things which lasted after all the money was left. The two churches he built, the buildings still stand today, of course, because he couldn't sell them and recuperate the money. Now, this is one question that I want us to ask ourselves most of the time. If that much money can disappear in 5 years, 113 million, if it can disappear in 5 years, five, was it actually the money or the man? What was the problem? Or did it have something else to do with it? The third person I'd like to look at is Emmanuel Eboué. He didn't win the lottery. This guy, it's different. He didn't win the lottery. This Ivorian earned his fortune from playing football, or soccer, as the Americans would like to call it. He played for big clubs like Arsenal and Galatasaray, and he spent a decade in Europe. He played one of the best football. He was loved in all the continents which he played for. He was a fan favorite, in other words. Now, one divorce swept him off. One divorce took away everything, and also poor investments crumbled him to the ground. Now, he had said in some of his interviews that it was so bad he had to pet with a friend. He was sleeping on the floor, and he washed his clothes with his hands. That was how bad it was for Emmanuel Eboué. Imagine all the Premier League, the sponsorships, the salaries. These guys earn anywhere from £50,000 per week, not a month, per week. So it's crazy figures, and then everything is gone just in an instant. It's something that we cannot really picture because we don't see ourselves ever being in such a situation one day. But it's not the money which protects you. It's not the money which keeps you from failing, because we have seen from three different people, they had the money and still they still failed. They still lost it all within five, some even less than 5 years. So what exactly do you think it's going to do for you? I mean, money, if you get it, will it help you out or will it just worsen the whole situation? One last person I always like to look at is Wilson Oroma. He's a Nigerian international footballer also. He was part of the under 17 World Cup winning generation. Years into a solid European career, he trusted the wrong people, most notably a pastor who was actually a scammer per se. He lured him into a fake oil scheme, oil business, and he lost almost 3 million US dollars for that deal, and his whole life savings were gone. Now, this is another case where it's not about wrong, careless spending. It's not about divorce. It's not that he was a bad person, but he trusted the wrong people unknowingly. That's why it's always important to know what you're investing. If you don't know what you're investing in, let it go. Just get what you know and do it. So it's not bad market, it's not poor performance on the pitch, but he trusted the wrong people. He was surrounded by the wrong people, and also he didn't do his appropriate background checks to the business because he had trust in these people. So it's not about spending, like I said before. He had real hard, clean money, and then trusted the wrong people, and it was all gone. So the pattern here is from these three or four different people, they have different starting points, different end points as well. But there's one pattern which follows them all through. Same ending. And it's very simple. It's not a coincidence. It's just what is meant to happen if certain variables are put in place. Money does not really change who you are. It just reveals what you've been hiding for a long time, for all these years. And it hands you a bigger stage to perform on. Now, money also acts as a bulldozer. It removes all the roadblocks, stopping you from being who you are. As I said before, it gives you a bigger stage to perform on. Money does not just change your character. It doesn't happen like that because character is not changed in a day. It's built over years and years of work and problems and solutions as well. If we look at it from the philosophers or Stoics point of view, they always split it into two categories: what you control and what you cannot control. Money as an object, money as a legal tender, money is out of our control, it's out of your control, out of my control. It can be given, it can be taken as well, it can be lost, it can be found. So it's not something which we can say it's under our control. But what is under our control? It's our character, our knowledge, our ability to learn, our ability to study, our ability to grow mentally and get ready. If we find money, if it lands on our laps, if we win the jackpot. So your character is not out of your control, it's in your control. Nobody can hand it over to you overnight. This is the part which really, really matters. Okay, this is the part because nobody can strip your character away from you, but people can take money away from you. Jack Whittaker, he won 314, I think 314 million US dollars, and the government takes more than half of that, or almost half of that, in taxes. So money can be taken from you as well as it can be given to you. Okay, the money was never the missing ingredient. The discipline to hold it was. So we've seen this in our own lives. I have seen this in my own life as well with friends or cousins or family members who got inheritances and then sold them off, maybe to, let's say, travel or to just live life, to spend it. And before 2 years or 3 years, they are back to where they started before. It's part of the learning process, as you say, but you have to pay for all the times when you didn't build your character properly. It's maybe it's simpler and harder to hear that wealth landed on a foundation that it was never built on than that we call it enemies. Okay, back home they will say village people, the enemies are at work. People have given you bad luck, but no, it's much simpler. Like I said before, to hear that wealth just landed on a foundation that was never built on it. That's how I see it. Because if you look at the lottery winners who actually won and made something out of it, for example, Jason Fry, a guy from Florida, he actually won 47 million US dollars in 2007, taking home about 14 million after taxes. I just, man, the taxes are crazy. He says it's still a huge amount of money, but it's nowhere close to Whitaker's uh, amount which he took home. But instead of spending it, he used the money to become an entrepreneur, investing consecutive,
Do you speak any English?
effectively in an established batteries plus store. And he acquired a franchise rights for additional locations. Then he did something which was a personal dream for him. He built a driving range now that generates about $300,000 every year. So, in his own advice, he says, invest conservatively, don't get greedy, and let success come in small steps. Small steps. And another thing is, we are not patient enough to wait for it, from what I've seen. Another guy which I would like to look at is an Irish guy, Peter Lavery. He won £10.2 million in 1996. That was quite a long time ago. He was a bus driver. Okay, he had very humble beginnings. When he got this money, he ventured into uh, the Cooley industry. Okay, he did the whiskey venture with the Cooley Whiskey Distilleries Danny Boy brand. Wow. He now owns dozens of properties across Northern Ireland, which is worth more than three times of what he won. This is another guy who shows us that character has to be built before you expect such windfalls of money. So there are two things that the survivors did. It's not really a secret. I don't really think it's a secret, and it's not that complicated per se. Uh, they built character before the money came. It's just like you don't start building a house from the roof. Okay, you don't start building the house from the roof. You start building it from the foundation. The foundation will determine how solid the house will be. So they build character first before even money came. So it's not by accident, it's not by coincidence, but it's steady preparation. Now, in ancient times, the Stoics had a practice for this. They called it premeditatio malorum. So this is deliberately imagining loss. You imagine loss. You imagine poverty. You imagine death in a certain way. Not to be pessimistic, but to rehearse before it happens. Okay, so that if it actually happens, you are ready. You are prepared for it. Seneca used to, from some of the books I read, Seneca used to sleep on hard floors and eat tasteless food just to prepare for, just in case he becomes poor or something happens to him. So poverty could never surprise him. So if you translate it to our daily lives of today, I would like to put it as, if you cannot manage 500 dollars, you cannot manage $500,000. If you cannot manage 500 Ghana cedis, you cannot manage 500,000 Ghana cedis. If you cannot manage 500 francs CFA, you cannot manage 500,000 francs CFA. It's the practice has to come first. You need to study the people who did it right. Study the people who moved in the right direction, who made it. Read about compounding, read about investments which you can make, understand the investments, study them so that when it eventually happens, you know what you're going to do. This is still a character building process. Number two, they treated the windfall as capital. Okay, they treated it as capital, not income. I always said in the other videos that income is different from capital. Capital is very different from income, and they built a wall of process around it. So every winner who kept their money did some version of the same thing. They didn't touch it for a fixed period of time, or they put it somewhere safe. They didn't just go around throwing $50,000 at the strip club. They got financial advisors or financial planners before they started spending a single dollar, a single franc, a single rand. Okay, they set rules for family requests. There's another thing I would like to touch on, the issue of let me think about it and get back to you. It's very powerful. If somebody rushes to you and say, "Oh, I need 10,000 now," and it's okay, let me think about it. You need to go home and think about how does this 10,000 leaving me affect my day-to-day life or my end goals in the next month or week that is coming. So it's not actually a weakness. It's like a firewall between you and the people we mentioned above, the chauffeur, Mr. Whitaker, and so on and so forth. So money doesn't need to be managed once it's already half spent. It just needs systems to work around it. So again, I would like to ask again, what's the actual takeaway here? I thought about it. I said, it's not about not playing the lottery. Fair enough, if you want to play, you can play the lottery. But it's about the discipline. Okay, it's about the discipline. You will never know how important it is until you get to the end. Okay, so happiness is built, character is also built. It's not just granted by status, it's not granted by money, it's not granted by your passport color. You don't just check in the mail and say, "Oh, character is here, I'm going to get it." It's built daily and it's constructed daily for years and a long period of time. Same as investment, it's a slow, gruesome process which eventually it will compound and eventually pay dividend in future. So the ones who kept their fortune, they share one thing in common. They treated the windfall as a responsibility and not a payment slip. They already had an identity, they already had a character which they had already built. So the money didn't come to bring out the bad character, it just showed or gave them a bigger stage to show how good they are. So one more time, I would like to ask again, if the money showed up for you tomorrow, millions and millions and millions, is it going to reveal somebody who is ready for it, or is it going to reveal a spending machine? That is the question which I asked myself, and in the shower I thought, okay, let's build the character first, and when the wealth comes, we are definitely ready for it.
Bye, have a great time.